There's a season that every agency owner comes across where client work takes over and business development quietly disappears. Today, we're talking about why that happens and the real difference between having a network and actually having a pipeline. My guest has spent years inside the pipelines of agencies just like yours, and she's walking us through how to keep that pipeline warm even when the calendar is completely full. Here's my conversation with Jasma. Welcome to the Small But Mighty Agency podcast. Growing a boutique agency can feel like you're always the underdog, competing against bigger shops with bigger budget. But small agencies aren't the underdogs, you're the upgrade. Here on this podcast, I'll help you see your size as the advantage it actually is and build a business that's profitable, sustainable, and doesn't depend on you to keep running. I'm your host, Audrey Joy Kwan. I've worked behind the scenes of multiple seven-figure agencies, coached and consulted with more than 180 agency owners, and supported an agency owner through a successful sale and exit. I'm also the founder of Agency Together, a community where boutique agency owners build the collaborations and strategic partnerships that help them grow. Here on the podcast, you'll get real-world insights and practical ideas to help you work less, earn more, and grow without burning out. Hey friends, welcome back. So today we're talking about something I see in almost every agency I coach, growth that runs on referrals, and then that little panic that hits when referrals slow down or dry up for a bit. My guest today is Jasma Mody from Copper, and she spends a ton of time inside the pipelines of relationship-driven businesses like ours. So we're getting into what it actually looks like to build more visibility, more consistency, and a little more intention around new business without losing the thing that makes referral-based growth so good in the first place. We'll talk about why agencies lose sight of their own pipeline even when things feel fine on the surface. We'll get into building a rhythm that keeps opportunities moving even when you're head down in client work. And honestly, some of your best future business might already be sitting right there in relationships that have just gone a little quiet. Also, quick heads up, Jasma is leading a conversation on pipeline growth at our Agency Together Mastermind Mingler here in Vancouver on September 17th. The link is in the show notes. If you're in Vancouver, come lean into it. There's 4 other conversation streams too, so you can choose your own adventure. All right, let's get into it. Jasma, before we get into the conversation, give us a really quick version. What is your role at Copper?
So I'm the demand gen manager at Copper. On paper, my job is to get leads, educate our audience on why our product can actually help them. So a lot of my time I spend figuring out where are these folks hanging out, how do we reach them, what we have to offer them that makes them want to learn more about Copper. But the other half of my time is basically help sales move faster so that our pipeline is efficient and we are understanding our audience pain points. So I listen to a lot of sales calls and customer success calls, get that data back so that I can understand what is needed to be able to get the right audience in our pipeline.
It sounds like your world revolves around pipeline building.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. And so I want to spend some time talking about the difference between building a network and having a pipeline. Networking doesn't automatically mean you have a pipeline. There's a difference between the two. And because this is your world, share a bit more of what you think is the difference between the both of them.
As a demand gen manager, I could just look at it as, oh, we got this lead, right ICP, exactly the company size we're going after, and they are going to be a great lead. But turns out that's not what sales thinks. A lead could look perfect, but their pipeline is only profitable if those leads actually convert. So I think pipeline is someone we can predict that they will convert in next 30, 60, maybe 90 days. Sometimes could be longer than that. But network is anyone you've spoken to or you know is in your list, but they're not warm enough. They might be a future revenue, but right now they're just there and you can connect with them.
Tell me a bit about the value of building your network and how you go about building your network. We all hate the creepy car salesman. Most people in general don't want to be sold to when they are out in the world networking. They really want to build relationships. How do you approach it?
I look at it as someone you provide value to, you build a relationship, you genuinely want to help them. Not necessarily you're going to get a dollar value back, right? But they're always going to remember you as a brand just because you helped them. When I was just starting pretty early on in my career, my job was to make sure that I have the right Excel sheet where I can predict how much budget I need. I remember finding an agency owner who actually built an Excel sheet calculator, and I requested him if you could send me that calculator because I just didn't know how to build it from scratch as I was relatively new, and they helped me for free. And I remembered them for years. So 2 years down the line, we were actually looking for an agency. The first person I could recollect was that performance marketing agency. And we went to them straight in and started talking about our requirements. What matters is that you are going to be in the top vendors if you genuinely bring some value, connect with them, talk to them, with just not thinking about that, okay, they should convert in next 3 months or 4 months. Relationships are usually something which takes time, and they eventually turn out to be a customer or someone you can partner with in future.
We'd all like sales to happen in a snap of a finger, but that's rarely the case. And so thank you for the example to highlight that. Now, of course, when we are looking at sales and pipeline, it's really important for us not to waste time. And one of the activities that helps us to not waste time is to know exactly who our buyer is. In fact, the more specific we are, the easier it is. What is your suggestion for agency owners on how to get specific about their ideal customer profiles so they are saving time when prospecting?
You have to know who really gets value out of your services, and you have data because you've provided services to them and been successful with that. So when you know your ideal customer, the next step is to know where they really hang out, where they are at, if it's a specific meeting or it's some event that you can attend, stay in touch with them, any group, Reddit, multiple platforms. It could be online, offline.
Yeah, the more specific you are, the easier it is to figure out where they hang out. It's also why I stand on the soapbox of niching, because when you have a niche, you know where to do your marketing more effectively and you save a ton of time. Now, of course, not all agency owners are niched. And with that understanding, what is the smallest first step an agency owner could take to help them start building the pipeline if they feel like they're not doing much right now?
They don't really have to build or buy systems that are expensive. What they could do is as simple as write down, even on a spreadsheet, who are their best customers? What does the profile look like? Who is it in their network they can talk to? And actually genuinely add comments about what was discussed, what are the next steps. When should I follow up again about that partnership that we spoke about a month back? Was it this month? And genuinely take steps so that not everything is in their head, but documented.
I really like the idea that starting simple can be as easy as a spreadsheet with columns that are meaningful to you. Now, of course, there comes a time when a spreadsheet just doesn't cut it anymore. It's overwhelming or it's messy. What does that look like in your experience? When does someone using a spreadsheet need something a little more complicated?
The first one would be when you think you are spending a lot of your time in getting all the admin tasks done. That is when you should start thinking about, what do I do next? Where should I spend my time, or think automating so that you don't have to spend that much time in scheduling something. The second could be when you actually are growing and you think it's time for you to share your business development responsibilities with someone else. Maybe you would want to share your list of network with them. And that's exactly when you could think of, how do I share this so that both of us can manage and can access and have a view that we know what are we building in our pipeline and what we can expect next quarter. Third is when you think that it's easier for you to invest in something that can get you a lot more revenue going down the line, and you buy that time and go out there and meet more people.
I love that we've summarized the three key things that we want to look for when we want to move from a spreadsheet into using more of a system. Now, talk to me about your experience with agency owners and service providers who are so busy with client work, they find themselves suddenly scrambling for new business. It's a cycle that a lot of smaller business owners go through. They get busy with client work. They are putting aside the work of building relationships and doing sales. And then, oops, there comes a season when they realize, we need to do more sales, but it's too late when they get there. Why do you think that is so common from your perspective with smaller businesses?
Most likely, the agency owner is wearing multiple hats, doing the business development, trying to reach out to vendors, get the payments processed, at the same time, manage other employees. It becomes super difficult for them to think of their own business development. They are helping other customers and their customers to build their pipeline, but in the process, they forget to build their own. It is normal, right? Especially when, as soon as you get a good customer or lead that converts, you're like, I'm going to put in 100% and make sure that I can retain that customer. But life happens, there are multiple factors. And what if that customer really churns? And then you're like, oops, I need another customer next quarter. How do I get that? So it's common for a small business owner, but they could do something as simple as keep a track, spare some time on a week on week basis to see what's happening with their pipeline right now. Where are they at? What is that I need to do to move the needle? Do I need to reach out to them? Is that something that I have that I can offer them for time being? What's coming next? It's just that keeping a close eye on what can I offer this quarter or this month, so that you always have a pipeline which is warm enough to convert in the future.
I think that building a repeatable habit, that's what sales is. For a lot of small business owners, they typically are really good at, or see themselves as really good at being inside the business rather than working on the business, but sales is working on the business. And so I find that it's easy to procrastinate on that task, especially when they're busy. I know you mentioned there are monthly rhythms and quarterly rhythms that you want to look at. I think that there are also weekly rhythms. Let's look at those rhythms in more detail. If you had someone that was a super busy business owner, what type of weekly sales rhythms would they be looking at? What type of monthly and quarterly rhythms? And we don't want to forget that these types of rhythms that we're talking about includes new business and also referral business. We're talking about two different types of sales activities. I would even say there's a third one, which is retention. I really do think that those are the three areas that we have to look at when it comes to your pipeline. So tell me a bit about the patterns you see that are most effective in your role and across your experience with other agencies.
So, from a weekly perspective, it could be as simple as going back to your spreadsheet or whatever that you're using and seeing that how many of them actually responded to your last message or an email. Thinking about, do they need something from us? Is there something, a case study or a criteria from your current customer? Can you share that with them? Can you share something with someone that will help them? On a week on week basis, you could look at everything that's doing well for you. And if you can connect that to something that can help your current pipeline, you could be like, oh, we did ABC because of this. Have you seen this new technology that you could put in and that can help you? It's more like value. Eventually, it goes back to the same relationship building. And if you know you've completed a project, why not just ask for a referral beforehand? Instead of waiting for them to refer someone to you, it's easier to ask for a referral or create a cadence around that. Okay, we completed this project. It's good time to ask them for a referral. That can help you build your pipeline.
I really love what you highlighted. It's looking at your business the week before and understanding what value was created and being able to reconnect on a weekly basis with people who are top of mind on the value. You may have created something that is useful for them to help them grow their business or speak into a challenge they might be having. And that's really important on a weekly rhythm, that you're able to identify the value and share to people in your pipeline. The other thing you mentioned ties well to a monthly rhythm, and that is making sure that you are asking for referrals on the monthly rather than sitting back and waiting for them. There's a difference between figuring out how you're going to ask every month versus sitting back and waiting for those referrals to come in. The proactive route keeps you top of mind because we tend to think as business owners that, of course, our clients are going to refer us, especially if they love us, but our clients are thinking about their business first. They're not thinking about our business first. And so the monthly ask is an important system. Now, what about quarterly? Can we talk more about the importance of prediction, of taking every quarter to look ahead to see what's in the pipeline? Talk to us a bit more about looking at the data, identifying what that data means, and then letting that guide the decisions for sales and pipeline.
I think the data is so important because a quarter is enough time to understand, do you want to work with that lead or do you want to kill it? There's a framework. You can actually group them into someone who's warm enough, the intent is high, you can see they're responding to you. You can put them into the work list. Keep working on those leads, even the next quarter, engage with them. Then comes kill. They've stopped responding to you, or they've clearly indicated that they will have moved on, or they are not going ahead with an idea. Add your notes, keep it as still your network because in the future you can reach out to them. Maybe not this quarter, maybe a quarter after this they might be ready. So that's the reason it's so important to have a structure in place and the dates and the notes, so that when the time comes you know exactly the ones you need to reach out to, so that you can predict your next quarter based on that.
I love having a tagging system. Kill's a strong word, but I think the theme is having an understanding of how you're going to refresh your pipeline and who you keep in the pipeline and who you move off the pipeline is important. And I think every quarter, what's really important is you take the time to do that. Now, a lot of agency owners will hear someone say not right now and think of it as a dead lead. Oftentimes an agency owner might think, oh, well, they said not right now and they move off the radar. And once they move off the radar, they forget about that lead. You and I both know that not right now is actually an opportunity, not a dead lead. So
For sure.
in your perspective, what is the move that you would make when you hear someone say to you, not right now?
Not right now could be because maybe they don't have the budget at the moment, or maybe the just timing is off. If they've mentioned that we just went ahead with this agency and we signed a 6 months contract, great. Maybe end of their fifth month, you could reach out to them, ask them, are they comfortable with the services? What do they think about the agency that they went ahead with? Because what happens is there are higher chances that if you stay in touch with them, they will remember you when they're ready to buy from you. I personally, as Demanjan, I think opportunities lost are actually gold mine. They are the ones you can reach out and convert them into a customer faster than spending more time and dollars in finding leads, because customer acquisition cost, right? Customer acquisition cost is always cost effective when you already have someone in your pipeline over finding a new person altogether.
It reminds me of the saying, the win is in the follow up. So if someone signs a contract, before the contract ends, it may be a good opportunity for you to see how it went, because who knows what might have happened during that time. I love how you put it. Even if someone ends up working with someone else, that the relationship is still there. You still built that relationship and it does your business and you well to see how things are going. And also it's very human. It's human to say, hey, how are things going? Which also begs the question, how do you make these follow-ups not salesy? How do you make these follow-ups feel like you're not just out to get the business, but you really care? And I think the qualifier here is you do have to really care. How do you do follow-ups in a way that you know is genuine?
The first thing is that, as you mentioned, if you stay in touch with someone that you interacted with, doesn't matter, did not work into a customer relationship, there is a bridge that you've already built, right? So getting in touch with them, knowing where they are at genuinely, could be as simple as if you're going to a conference and you think that they would be part of that conference, why not reach out and ask them, are you going to be there? I would be happy to meet you. Or if you follow them on LinkedIn and if they're active, why not engage with their post and genuinely engage without thinking of, oh, they would convert into a customer and there's a dollar value to it. It's just genuine engagement. That is what actually builds the relationship, trust. And it just makes it so simple and there is no awkwardness to reach out to them.
When we think of sales, it requires time, and putting aside that time to do some of those things that you mentioned is really important. Like you just said, it's being conscious of what's happening in the world of the people you serve and showing up in that world. A great example that you gave is identifying what conferences are they going to be at and making it an opportunity to say hi in person. Something as simple as that can mean a lot to someone. And I would say in our world today, where there is so much technology and slop and fake news and all those things happening, nothing beats a real life interaction. Thank you for just reminding us of that. Okay, Jasma, if an agency owner was to take one thing away from this conversation, what should it be?
Something I really believe is that the agency owners, as founders, they are the best salespeople, and they should remember that. They should not think themselves of as someone who can only be a creative person and not a seller. They can talk about what they can provide, their value, their services better than anyone can. It could be as simple as being active on and a thought leader on LinkedIn. Talk about what they feel, what they're seeing in the industry, how are they helping their customers, and share their thought process, because I think that is the easiest way to build relationships and network, instead of thinking that, okay, this quarter I'm going to send out some emails.
Thank you, Jasma. Jasma is leading a conversation on pipeline and sales at the Mastermind Mingler, our in-person event happening on September 17th. If you want more information on that, that's going to be in the show notes. Jasma, thank you so much for being here. If people want to learn more about you, where could they find you?
Thank you, Audrey. They can follow me on LinkedIn, Jasma Mody, and I love connecting with people and talking to them. So, yeah.
We'll include your LinkedIn URL in the show notes, and we'll see you at the Mastermind Mingler.
Thank you so much, Audrey.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with me at the Small But Mighty Agency podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to me if you hit the follow or subscribe button in your podcast app and share it with a friend. I'll see you on the next one.